Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Amber Valley series. There are 35 parishes in this beautiful slice of eastern Derbyshire. Here's one for your viewing pleasure. Welcome back to Amber Valley once again, people. I'm beginning this episode on a street called Kerry Drive. I once knew a lass called Kerry, didn't really like her all that much. Let's see if the Kerry in question in this place is any better. Welcome to Smalley. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. We continue through Amber Valley with the lovely little village of Smalley, located on the A608, the main road between Heanor and Derby. Smalley's name comes from the Anglo-Saxon Smæl-lēah, which means narrow woodland clearing. It was first mentioned in a charter in 1009 by Ethelred the Unready, which related to a manor known as Westune. We know that now as Weston-on-Trent. As well as the main village of Smalley, the boundaries here also cover some other villages. There's Hinagate to the far north, which merges into the town of Heanor, Smalley Green to the south of Smalley, and part of Woodside as well. Being neighbours with Horsley Woodhouse, Smalley also shares a lot of history relating to the Wilmot Sitwell family, as they were major landowners here. Another name of importance here would be Kerry, a family who have some links to Wales, according to local legend. Facilities in the area include a college and industrial estate at Heanor Gate, the latter of which is quite famous for the production of a certain festive foodstuff. Smalley itself has a church dedicated to St John the Baptist, 2 recreation grounds, a pub called the Bell Inn, and a school. It's that school which has by far the biggest and most interesting landmark in the village. It's been several decades since any trains ran through here, but here you will still find one. Let's go and see it. We begin with a drive around an area to the north and east of Smalley which falls within the parish boundaries. This is Heanor Gate, which blends seamlessly into the town of Heanor. This is vastly residential, as this drive will prove, but there are some landmarks in this part of Smalley's boundaries. For one, there's a massive industrial estate just to the east of this area which contains the food supplier Matthew Walker. They're famous for making Christmas puddings and have been since 1899. The northern part of the estate stands on an old railway line which was served by a station. It was officially called Heanor, but the locals knew it as Heanor Gate to distinguish it from another station in the town. Heanor Gate also has a school, the Heanor Gate Spencer Academy, which opened in 1964 as Heanor Gate County Secondary School. In 2002 it gained Science College specialist status, the first in Derbyshire to do so. Our main walk begins on Kerry Drive, named for a local family. Legend has it the first Kerry to settle in Smalley was Welsh. Our first actual landmark though is Amber Valley Total Care. It's notable because it's built on the site of an old pub called the Nag's Head. Smalley still has a pub and we'll catch that later. Next is a shop. Until recently, this used to be Smalley Stores, owned by Premier. Heanor Road has now become Main Road. This is the A608 which continues due south through the village towards Smalley Green. Smalley service station is next to appear on the right, a typical village garage with all the usual motoring services offered. In front of it there's a bus stop. Smalley is served by the H1 which connects it to Derby, Heanor and Alfreton. Not far away there's a small green. This is where the village sign you saw at the top of this video is located. Across the road is Dobholes Lane, which is the road that connects Smalley to Horsley Woodhouse. Up there's a playing field. This is Dobholes Lane Recreation Ground. This features a full-size football pitch which is used by Smalley Villa Football Club. I couldn't find much out about them, but I do know Smalley Villa were founded in 1965 and play in a dark blue strip. There's a public right-of-way that links that playground and that recreation ground to another one, literally just on the other side of Dobholes Lane. And here it is. This is Stainsby Meadow, and in here you can find the Smalley Lawn Tennis Club and also Stainsby Hall Cricket Club. Let's go and find both of those. By entering this area, we've actually crossed the parish boundary into Horsley Woodhouse. Briefly, here's those tennis courts. Next door is Stainsby Hall Cricket Club's ground. They used to play their matches on a pitch in front of Stainsby House. They were founded in 1863 and celebrated their 150th anniversary in 2013. They compete in the Derbyshire County Cricket League. This building is their pavilion. Now, as we learned in last week's episode, Stainsby Hall was associated with the Wilmot Sitwells. That therefore explains the name of the street we emerge onto. Running alongside the cricket club is Wilmot Drive. After following St John's Road for a short distance, named by the way for the local church, we continue onto Pine Close. This leads to a footpath which brings us back onto the A608, a little way further south than where we left it. I genuinely don't know if there's any other noisier garden implement than a hedge trimmer. I suppose they do a good job though. Right, we've hit Main Road and we've turned right briefly. There's a couple of things I want to catch down here and then we'll turn around and come back on ourselves because everything else really is to the left, not the right. One of the things is right there, this here. It says Smalley Institute on it, 1903 I think the date says, but we'll catch that in a moment because I'm going to walk down this way for something else first. Next to see is Smalley's Parish Church. This is dedicated to St John the Baptist and was built in the late 18th century. Laced with history, it stands on the site of an earlier church and a 7th century Saxon cross forms part of its porch. The Ilkeston memorialises two members of the Fletcher family. Keep that name in mind, we'll meet another one shortly. The church's transepts were added in 1844 and the unusual and almost detached tower was added some years later. The tower has 5 bells, the largest of which weighs over 2 tons. No wonder then their chime is said to be the heaviest in England. The church hosts occasional street parties for Smalley's residents. Internally, it can seat some 270 people. There's a Commonwealth war grave here, that of Private A.E. Fletcher, who was actually interred in a British cemetery in France. In front of the church is a building that was originally a girls' and infants' school. This has now become the church hall. Smalley Preschool use this building now. Voluntarily managed, it caters for children between the ages of 2 and 4. Next, it's the Institute, whose datestone reads 1908 as opposed to 1903. It's built in the style of Charles Voysey. Smalley Art Club hold 3 sessions a week here, 2 on a Tuesday and 1 on a Wednesday, ideal if you have an interest in art. Across the road is a private drive which leads to Stainsby House, the Spanish-style ranch which replaced Stainsby Hall. Okay, now to head back the other way and see what else Smalley has. We're on the final section of the route now. It'll take us down a footpath which will eventually lead us back to Kerry Drive, and that'll have completed the circuit of Smalley. We continue up the road passing some more lovely looking houses. Next on our list to see is a Baptist church. Built in 1785, it was originally a joint church with the one in Ilkeston. Smalley Baptists were known for their missionary zeal. This church went on to open offshoots at Heanor, Langley Mill and Kilburn. It now hosts a Friendship Cafe on occasion. Over the road is the War Memorial. This is a sandstone wheel bearing the names of 39 local men lost in the 2 World Wars. Behind that there stands the old schoolhouse, and Smalley's current school is literally right next door. Founded in 1721, this school was endowed by Samuel and John Richardson with about £200 yearly to teach 36 poor boys. Next door there's a post office which occupies a tiny building. I reckon you'd struggle to see this if you didn't know it was there. And right next to that is the Bell Inn, Smalley's local watering hole, which was voted the best pub in Derbyshire in 2006. Alright, so now we're on that path which is a bit rough and rugged and a bit swampy in places, but it does take us back to Main Road and then eventually to Kerry Drive. And that's been the walk around Smalley, and it's been good. I've enjoyed that one. The rain is just starting to fall, so hopefully I get back to the car before I get soaked, because as you can see I haven't got my coat on. Now I'm almost back at the car and I discovered a shortcut which went through a little play area. Didn't really think it was worth filming it, to be honest with you. I'm actually pleased though that I found that shortcut for another reason, because it's brought me out on Kerry Drive around the back of the Richardson Endowed Primary School, which we saw earlier, and in the car park of the school is perhaps one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in a schoolyard ever. Look at this, it's a train carriage. It's called the Richardson Express and it says 300 years underneath its windows just there. That is amazing. I have never seen anything like that in a schoolyard ever. I wonder what that's all about. You just know I wasn't going to let that go without talking about it. In 2022, the school was given a repurposed train carriage to mark its 300th anniversary. The former first-class intercity carriage is used as one of the school's classrooms and has a library, a breakout area, and an additional learning space. The carriage still even has its original seat. It was donated by Derby-based rail company Porterbrook, and the track it stands on was installed by Network Rail. The carriage was originally built at Litchurch Lane Works in Derby in 1985, and it's travelled millions of miles across the UK. The whole thing was the brainchild of the school's head teacher, Kate Mason, who wanted to provide the children with a unique and inspirational learning space. And you can bet they love it. They've said it's magical to have it in the playground and think it's an amazing gift to mark the major milestone. What a fabulous, unique idea. To finish with, we're making our way out of Smalley via Smalley Green, which has another pub called the Rose and Crown. This area might be familiar to you. We briefly saw this in the Morley episode of Erewash, and speaking of Erewash, you have to drive through that to get to the next one. I'll see you there soon. Thanks for watching this video, folks. Don't forget to like this episode if you haven't already. It really makes a difference with YouTube. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and give us a share too if you've got friends who'd like it. You can find all the links to my social media accounts below, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page where you can donate to the channel. Also, if you've enjoyed this episode, have a look at some more videos in this series. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.